Now welcome back. I just want to thank all of you now when don't hit that subscribe button, all of you now when don't like my content. I really appreciate you now. I just say make I show now one small thing for JavaScript. Make we just see how we even use third-party libraries. How we use and they make our JavaScript lives much easier. So third-party libraries now just way we say we're going to use other people code, they add them to our code, they make something beautiful like this way they look for here. So this now ParticleJS where they make this nice animation wey you dey see for here. Although you just see say we dey use CSS, they do some styling for here, but the whole idea be say all these things wey dey the screen, all these elements, we dey call them particles, or me I dey call them spider web, e no matter. But all these things wey dey the screen, wey we dey use the mouse, dey move am like say na we dey tear am all the time. All these things like this, we dey use a third-party library to do am. So I just want show una how una go fit add third-party libraries to your code and how una go fit build awesome beautiful UI like this small thing wey we dey work with so. Okay? So before we start, una go see the code, the finished version of this code. Una go see am for the GitHub repo. If you don't know wetin GitHub be, una no worry, just go watch the other video for there, for this side for here, and you go know wetin Git be. When you don't learn am, then if you even come back here, come even start to dey clone the repo and to dey work with the repo. So I already do two branches for this repo. One at the starter wey be say I never add the ParticleJS to am, but if una check the final for here, you go fit get the real repo for here. So by the time we check this final for here, una go fit see the final code for here. So since we dey use ParticleJS, I just want show you ParticleJS dey GitHub. So I go leave link also for GitHub because now here you go to see the code wey una fit use. Now here you go to see all the values wey you fit use. Now here you go to see the options wey you fit use to dey set ParticleJS to do exactly what you want make it do. So make we enter into our code, or make we just clone if you now want follow along. Make we clone the starter. And then when you clone the starter, when you click get clone, when you clone the starter, make we clone now, make we open our VS Code. Okay, so now we've done our VS Code. Make I just quickly explain wetin dey this starter repo, make we understand. So this, I just break them, I just arrange the folder or the file structure for our code to dey live inside. So of course, una don dey familiar with the index.html, which is the starting point for our code, right? Now there we put all our HTML. And then I just add this folder for styles. So any styles we get, now we will put for the styles folder for here. But already I don't put the styles where I want for inside the main CSS. We go soon get back to that one. Then we just add one file here. So this main.js, now here we're going to use, they add our custom JavaScript when we want to add, and we're going to use the work with this ParticleJS. So we will work with. Then of course the assets. Now here I just put the image, and we put any other kind of assets where we think say we want inside this asset directory where we work or asset folder where they here. So make I just click into the index.html, make I explain give una wetin dey happen for here. So the wetin I do be say for here, I just arrange the font where I want to work with. So I dey use this Alata font from Google Fonts. So I just add the Google font here, all right? And after that, I just link the CSS. So if you look the directory, you go see say that the styles directory or styles folder, which na this one, make I close here, which na this one. So I just link out to this main.css where they here. So and then I just get this section where just the hold for inside the body, and this section just they give me now just where we say if you put all the text where we want. So we just want to put that section as the hero section or anything we want column, and then we just wrap all the text inside this inner section. Of course, you can see the section subtitle and the title for here. I just done like that in no to matter which class you name them for here. Now for here, I don't link the JavaScript. So if you look here, you go see say for inside the JS directory, I don't link to the main.js and at this file for here. So if you look inside the main.js even itself, you can see say I just do a simple console log. This now to test whether our application they work for the JavaScript, whether everything don't connect correctly for us. And then I just do some CSS for here. We go help us make that our Spider-Man thing just make it fresh small. So make I just quickly explain what in the CSS they do for here. Already, I just set the default for all the elements where they inside our HTML file. I just set all of them. They are by default. Maybe they don't get margin, maybe they don't get padding. Also, I just did some styles for the body website. We set the font family for all the body. We want make all the body get one kind style. Then for inside this place here, this section, this now here where we could put the Spider-Man image where we want. I carry one small Joro do for here, small nano verse, because what I do is say I just set the height of this my container to 100 of this section. So may just be 100 of anything where the screen be, make it just be that height by height of her. All right. And then I just quickly say, make the background. Here I can do the Joro. I can set the background image to linear gradient. And that linear gradient don't mean say you go dey get one kind small effect, one kind effect wey be say the color go dey go, go dey go from top come bottom. Na that time you go dey add this linear gradient for here. So that gradient now just like if you see some people, they go dey put those purple and blue colors where they see sometimes. Now wetin they do, they mix color together. Now wetin gradient they do so. But instead of say make I just close am for here, I can add a URL, and this URL I can link am to the Spider-Man image where they see for here. So all right. So this asset directory, now you won't go. And for this asset directory, we won't go the image.png, which now this Spider-Man image we did for inside our VS Code, this Spider-Man image. Of course, this Spider-Man image, if you look out, you will see say it carry this transparent color. So you don't get any background for here. So if you put them on any background, though, it will stand. This place, you know, go to show, but it will just be transparent. Whenever I see this kind of color, just know say a transparent image, it will work. And then I'm waiting PNG. The people they usually use PNG to do. So where we did again? Oh yes, the CSS. Okay. So of course I just set the background repeat to no, so we're not going to have two Spider-Man. And I set the position on where I want the picture they always stay for the top left. Now for inside the inner section, now here I go to hold the text where you see before for the browser. And this text here where you see now just say make everything in the center by default, make the text they arrange themselves for the center. And then for here, I just they use one simple trick to the center any element for CSS. Okay. So I just set the position absolute, the top to 50%, left 50%, and the transform translates it to minus 50% on both of these sides for the top and left side. Now what can I do? So you go arrange the thing back to the center. Meaning say you go move the element for the center of the screen for here. So like this, if we're looking at the page. Now for here, I just use this section title and subtitle. I just use this Vmax. So the idea say if I use the Vmax, the text go to shrink, it go to big, it go to shrink, it go to big based on the size of the screen. So okay. Then I just today use them without media query. Now I don't like this. So okay. So nothing bad for here. And make we run this code, make we see say everything on the work. So if I just click my live server, and you see say now we get our image for the page, everything just they show the way we make it day, the way the Spider-Man day, everything just fine for us for here. So make we go back into our code editor. And make we close this main JS, and make we close the remaining we just collapse the other things, and then make we go back into our index.html file. Now, to start to use this particle JS, it will make sense if we get an element where we go to use the inject the code into the page. So how we go take do am? Well, I would like make we add them for inside this section. Make the particle JS they use this as an entry point where I go call them into this our code where we work with. So how I want to take do am? Make we just say we want to do an ID, and this ID way they here, make we give them like this, and this ID way they here, and make we just call them say my dash particles. Okay, so as I don't call them like this, what we need to say we want way. Let me say if we add that CSS, or sorry, if we add this particle JS that JavaScript code, it will work for our code. So just putting this ID no be in. All right. So we're going to go back into the browser, and we're going to need add the JavaScript code, which is the third-party library where we want to work with, which is ParticleJS, right? So make we go back into the browser. And for inside the browser, you fit just Google them for CDN for this site. It's called CDN.js. CDN.js na just site where we say it give us JavaScript libraries, but on a CDN. And CDNs, I don't already explain what CDN be for now. If you don't know what CDN be, wanna go check the other video where I don't make for now. For back on top HTML and CSS, you go see what the CDN they do for us so for here. So for inside here, we will just search for particles. So if I just type particles JS, you go see say it don't give me this particle JS. So you go click here. Nobody other ones, so you go make sure saying that this particle JS now they use ganga, which not this one for here. Okay. So when you come here, you go just say you want copy this code. If you look this code, you go see say it get the main.js. It just means saying that the minified version one copy. So we just click here to copy the entire script code, or if you just copy the URL for here. But me, I go click here so because I want to copy the entire script, and then we'll go back into our VS Code. Now for inside this VS Code, make we just paste the code for the bottom for here, right? So remember, whenever you want paste third-party code, always they put your own code for the bottom underneath them, so that your code go to run after the third-party code don't run. In case the third-party code want overwrite your own code, you no go want that kind of conflict. So if suppose they list them on top your own code. So that is something to remember, because if you worry you for future, if you give you bug, if you give you I say bug, if you give you bug, not be bug. All right. So now when we don't add that script into our code, we don't add them from CDN.js. Now when we don't add this stuff for here, make we see what's they happen for inside our browser. And they see say nothing don't happen. Nobody say we never add them to the code. The reason we say we never start to add our particle.js. So make we add that particle.js for here. And make we come into this main file where we work with for here. So okay. And now the first thing we want to do is say, since we don't link everything, our particle.js, make we say we want just call our particle.js inside this our JavaScript where we work with. So make I just minimize this one or close that tab off. And then make we just add the following code. So you could need to say you want the particles.js, big JS for here, all right? Then you could just say you want the load, you want to call the load method on top of for here, all right? As you done like this, you go to load the particle.js for us into our JavaScript. So remember, say for inside our index of HTML, we've been create this ID for here. These particles, this my ID particles. All right. So now, once you put this ID inside the string, the next parameter where you want to add for this method, now the path of the particle.js settings where you want. Okay. So the particle.js settings, where it be? Well, that are just where we say you want to write your own configuration to the particle.js. Okay. So that are the second parameter where this one they expect. And it go there inside quotes or it go there inside, yes, it go there inside the string. So now there you go put that second parameter. And finally, if you even add the third parameter and this third parameter, I could just make them a fat arrow function. I could just say I want console log something for here. Make it just console log or something like a string. We could just tell us say particles JS loaded. Okay. And if you put it like that, it will tell us say particle.js it don't load for us. Now, if you don't like this, particle.js no go give us, it no go still work for us. Why? Because we never add the configuration we in need for here. So make we go into a file here, into this our asset, and make we create a new file. So the file we want to create now, particles config file. So we're gonna need to configure that config file. So make we just create that particles.config file. So we'll say particles, yes. Then make we just say we want the config .json, because that now waiting we need, not JS, but JSON. I don't already explain to now waiting JSON be. So if you don't know waiting JSON be, go check the JSON section of our video on waiting JSON be. Then it will give you a better understanding on waiting be the right for here for this code too. Okay. Now, if you come here into this particle config.json, you can see say we fit add our JSON configuration for inside here. Now, I don't already show now how now we create this JSON object, right? So we could just say we want to create a JSON object with our curly brace for them. And now the first property we want to add now the particles. Okay, so make we just say we want the particles. Remember saying that JSON, so we want a particle. Okay, and these particles with the SO, don't forget that one. These particles, what we want as the value. Now we want more objects as the value of these particles. So we want to set the settings for these particles. So now we could just say for inside string again, because now JSON will work with, we want a number. So we'll say number. So the values we want set for here, now the value, okay? And the value we want set, make I set down like this. And then we will just set this value to, make we set down to 120 for there. And then we want another parameter. So we'll do a comma there. Now, what we want is now the density. We want to set the density. So again, inside quotes, inside double quotes for here, I can say what you define now the density. And if you don't do this density, the value for this density, it will be another object. And inside this object, because now JSON, we want to do an enable. We want enable now. So make we set the by default it's set to false. So we want to say enabled. So we want to set the enable, not enabled. We want to set them to true. Okay. Then we'll add more values here. So the value we define now the value underscore area. All right. And we want to set this value here to 850. Okay. Now make I save this code. Make we even see say this code it didn't work for us for here. So how we gonna take even know say this code don't work? Simple. We're gonna need to now link this file to our main.js, particle.js.load object where they call for here, right? So we could just say we want down for here. We say we want the assets, and from the asset directory, we could say we define the particles JS, and we define the particle.js config file. So we could just say config. How am I not spelling word today? Config.json. Okay. So if I make we enter into our browser, make we see what will they do. So if you check here now, you can tell you say this particle JS is not they found. Meaning say you never even see this file for here. So obviously maybe I don't make mistake for there. Oh yes, I don't see the bug now. So I type in assets for here and I suppose type assets for here. So that's not bad on my part. That's not why JavaScript no see the code where they try, right? So make we go back into the browser and voila, you just say now we get this our elements for here and we get the message for here, say everything done, they work nice for us. So waiting we they do for here and how we feel make this one where we see for here. If I close the browser, how we feel make this ugly little thing come arrange itself to come fresh, make it come make sense like this one. You don't understand. You know they say as this one they go. All right, so make it go back. Now, if I remove the mouse for here, this is a no interaction they happen. We just get all these particles, and at least if I click out, it creates more particles and blah blah blah. So make we go back into our VS Code. For inside this config file, what we want to say we want to go down for underneath this number for here. We want to add some other props we define or other properties we define. So the second one we define are the color, and we want to set this color to an object, right? And this object, make we say this object expect a value. So we go say this object, oh, we need a value. And the value we've defined for this object, I want to set them to different values because what I would like to say, I want to set them to an array of items. So I don't set the array for there, right? And I want to set the colors for different colors. So the color, the first color we defined now EA, like I just say uppercase here. So EA 2027. Then I just red colorway you see for there. And then make we add the remaining ones. So I want more colors here. So and then make I just duplicate this line. So the second color we find now 3. Okay. And the third color we find now 999. So we'll say hash 999. Sorry, no 00. 999. Okay, so these are the 3 colors we would expect. So we just get that error, make I clean that out. As we don't add those colors, make we go on after out of this, make I even minimize them for here, or make I collapse them. So don't collapse the button and color. Make we add another value for here. So what we define? Where we define the shape. So make we say we define the shape. I see say VS Code don't they ask me for my double quotes, so which now what we want, and the shape go get a value of an object. Now this object will take in a type. So we go say type. So we won't make it just be circle. So I could say circle. And this circle, make me say we want some other parameters, which are the stroke. So we'll set the stroke. We'll say stroke. And after the stroke, make we say this stroke, it is taking an object again. So we'll say we define the width of this object, but the value, make we just set them to 0. And then we also want to set the color. Okay. Now the color we define now, let me put that for quotes. Now the stroke, so we'll say one color. And the value for this color, make we set them to a string of hash, and we could just say 9999. Okay, 369. Now, once we done like this, we don't arrange our shape object we want to work with. So if I press save, make we preview the code. You just say now we get all our 3 colors and everything just there as a pick for here. Remember, wait till we define now this kind settings for here. Also, right now we don't get any interaction. Make we carry the browser go decide, and then make we carry the code editor come the side. Now for inside this my particles side, so this my particle object, make we add the opacity first. Okay, so just under that shape, after I don't finish they put the shape, I want come out there, put a comma, then I want to say I want the opacity. So I could say opacity, and this opacity, what I want to say, I want to set the value to an object. Now, this object is supposed to get a value first. So we go say one value, right? Most of them. And we go set the value to 0.65. And if I set that value for there, make we say we want set. So we want make all the balls for there, make it there random. So make I just set the random, and make I set to true. Okay. We press save and you can see say now everything don't they make small sense, small, and our design don't they look small, it don't they make sense for us as we work with them. Like we say we want add some kind other values for here. So what we want add, we say we want add the anim. Okay, then add the animation. And this animation for here, so it could take an object, and the object we define for inside this animation. Now say make we set down to enable. So we go say enable. Okay, I want to set this enable to true for here. Okay, now we'll say true, set that enable to true for there. And if you set down to true, you go see say now the colors they don't the circles for here, they don't they animate, they don't they blink, they go on, they go off, they go on, they go off, right? So make we add the remaining properties we want add. So we'll just set the speed for now. So we'll say speed, and we want to set the speed to make we set am to give am the value of 1, and then make we add the other values wey we find. So the other values wey we find na the opacity, that na the minimum opacity. So make we just say opacity underscore and mean. That na wetin we want. So the minimum opacity wey we dey find na 1 because na number we dey work with. So make we just say we dey find the opacity of 1. Make I even comot this string here. This true suppose be boolean. No vex. Now wetin we dey find for here be say we dey find the opacity, the minimum opacity to be 0.1 for here. That na the minimum, the smallest opacity we go ever get. And then make we just set the sync. So we go say sync, and this sync we go set the value to false. So meaning say we don't want to make it a sync together, make everything they fully random for there. So we just press save for there, and now all of them they behave individually. They go on their own. They don't get wahala with any of them. They see say different things they make as it's supposed to. All right. The size it get as it be. Make I just collapse that one and make we add the size. So we want a value or a key of size. So we want to do the size for this object, and what we define for this object here for this size, we want it. We could just set the value. All right, and once we set that value, make we set them to 3. Okay, then at the value of this 3, and the value of the size could be set to 3. Okay, now make we set the random. So basically, it is to say now basically the same settings, but for different options where we dey set them for. Okay, so we just set the random, and this random which could take in a boolean, right? So we could just say we want set them to true. Okay, so once we done like this, we could set that size to true. So that's how we take commot this size. Of course, if you see say if you increase the size to 10, 20, you go to big, you go to big, you go to big. If you make them to 200, like you say 50, it go big anyhow for us. So you see I'm saying if you get these balls, these bubbles, they go big, but they're going to get their different sizes, different opacity. It could be some go to big, some go to small, but the maximum value go be 50 for here. Okay, so make we just say, oh no, what we want now? We want the maximum value, make it just be 3 for here. Then what we want, right? And then make we say we want add the line linked. Now the lines we did linked to the style. So no worry about saying the same. We can just say I want the line underscore and linked. Okay, just say linked. Now, once I done like this one they expect an object enable. Okay, I'm gonna put that inside quotes. And this enable, we want set them to true because now boolean they expect, so we say true. So make we set the distance. I put quotes, say distance, and I think I'm spelling distance there. So we go say distance. I'm gonna set the value for here to 150. So 150. And then after that, make we say we want set the color. I want set the color for this. We want hash 999. And make we add the opacity. And make we set the value to 0.6. So I will say 0.6, which now floating point, right? And then make we add the other value of the width. So I could say for inside quote, I want the width. And I want to set the width of this thing to the value rather to 1. Okay. Now once you've done like this, sorry, okay, I close this one. What I would like to say, I want to set the move. So I could say move. I want to make no move. I want to make the move. Then I make the particles, whether they move in a certain way. So what I want to say, I want enable. I want to set the enable to true first, right? So we want to make it just stay true by default. Okay. So now I can't say as we don't set them to true for the, so make we first set the speed. It's a quote. And as we don't set the speed, make we set the value of the speed to 3. And then make we set the random. It was equals random. I'm gonna set that random here from random to true. And then as we don't set that random, make we set out mode. With the out mode, you go to allow the particles to they jump in, they jump out. They know how they go to behave whenever they go out of the page. So we go set the out underscore mode, and we want set them to we could give them a value to in quotes, you could say bounce. Okay, so you want to make it a bounce all the time. I comment this code because now JSON. I comment here. Let's say because you say this side the code they enter it they come out from the page they come out, but once I put that other value here, say make it a bounce when it reach the top like this, boom, it go bounce. When it reach the edge, it go bounce. It's not going to come out from the page. Okay, so then I'm waiting this out mode they help me they do for them. Now after the out mode, waiting again we want add, well make we add the attract. Okay, like I say attract, and this attract what you want to say, you want to give them a value. And the value where we want give them now, make we first disable them. Of course, if you want to enable something, you could just set the enable to give them the value of false. Okay, we want make the on the move, make them know they attract again, but we also want make it a rotate. Okay, so we'll just set that code for them and we'll say rotate. But how we want to rotate the x-axis, I'm going to set down that x-axis to 600. And after that, we could set the other values we need. So we'll say rotate y. I'm going to set this rotate y to 1200. So we're going to say 1200. Once you set down like this, sorry, I keep forgetting this. I will set down like this, press save to format the whole code. We say now our code don't work as we expect. So when we come out inside here now, so I could just close this move for here. As I do it like this, it's fine. Everything on the all right. It move the way I want make it move. It carry the color where I want make it carry. They blink the way I want make it blink. But if I move the mouse, it is say the mouse not they behave the one I want make it behave. So if I click on, yes, they add new spider web for me, but it get as it be. They show like say not too pure yet. So I'm gonna take down. Because if you look the other one, the finished version, because say it be like say we carry the spider web. It like say they tear the thing and they build itself all the time. If I click on, you can see say they even they throw nice for us for here. So how we take down? Make we go back into our example for here and make we enter into our VS Code. So after we don't finish all the whole particles, we don't do the particles, we don't happy with these particles, make we collapse these particles and then make we add the final side, which is the interaction. So I could just add my comma there, and then I go say I define the interactivity. Okay, so once I do like this, say interactivity, make we say this interactivity in value or waiting they expect for properties now an object. We will put everything we want for the interactivity. So the first thing we want to do now say by default, we don't want make we won't make it a detect on the place where we just draw the page. We won't make it a detect on the whole window. So we'll say for inside our code for there, we'll say we'll make it detect underscore on. And we want set how the detect go to behave. So we could just say now we want set down to window. Okay, so anytime when the mouse enter the window, it could behave, it could at that time property.js, what's that called? ParticleJS go start to notice to know what to do with the page whenever we enter the window. So we could add the remaining properties where we need, which are the events. And these events, we could give them in value. So the value we define now an object, right? And this object we define is supposed to get an on hover property. So we'll say we want an on hover. Remember, don't put any space for there. And then we will just say the value for this on hover, what you want to make it do, now say make it be another object. First of all, we want first enable them so that it will work whenever we hover on them. Because if you put the mouse on them, say nothing they happen for here, not like the other one. With the hover, nothing they happen. So make we say enable. Inside double quotes, we will say enable. I'm going to set this enable here to true. But you still get some kind of settings we will need to add, which now the kind way we want make it behave whenever the mouse don't enter or whenever we hover on top of. And then at the mode. So we'll say for inside double quotes, we want to set the mode. And the mode we define for here, and I say we define the repulse mode. So I could just say repulse. Don't worry. And now when I put the mouse on now, it is say it move, it move, it don't move, it don't tear the net for me, it don't tear now. It don't repulse back. Okay. Now, after we don't add this event, so the first event now the on hover, and the second event we define a comma, and then we could say we define the on click. That now this on click for this object, or anytime we click on this side, we want make it do like this. Okay. So what we want to do for the on click, we say we want set the object to enable. So we want enable the on click event. So enable, and this enable, as we don't set down, make you give them in value of true. Okay, we want change the mode. So it gets the default mode. So we want change the mode, and then for the on click, with the mode where we define now the push. So we can say we want make it a push. So whenever we click on, it's to say the push, the push, the push, the push, the push, the push. Okay, make I minimize this one. Make I come on the event, and for inside here, just underneath the event, what you want to do? What we go like to say for underneath the event, we want to add the modes. So we say we want the modes. So the mode we define the object, modes will go give us the object, and the object we define now the repulse object. So we just say we define the repulse, or the value we define then the property now repulse. And this repulse, make we set the object for the repulse. How we want make it behave, how we want make it do. So we want to set that kind of thing for here. So the repos, one may set the distance. So I will say distance. And the distance we will define for this repos, so we'll set that to 150 for here. Now, once we set that 150, make we set the duration of this repos. So we'll say duration, and the duration, make we set the value of the duration to 0.8. And that's 0.8 seconds. Now we want to set that value to. If you set down to anything where you want, okay? Now, make we continue to finish up. We don't almost finish for here. So make we say we want to go underneath here for inside this our modes, this mode object where we get for here. Make we say we'll add more properties for them. So we'll say, okay, the next property we'll define for here, the next key we'll define now the push. So we'll say push. And this push, how we want to make it behave? Well, we just want to make it be particles. Okay, so we'll say particles MB. I'm going to just set that I say MB or NB. So that particle MB, we'll just set that to 5 for here. Okay. Once we don't do that, maybe we come down to the last side for here. So we don't come out for all these events. We don't come out for the modes. We can close down modes for there. And still inside this, my small container where we work for here. After we don't finish that one, make we now add the final one, which now the retainer dictates. If devices get this retainer or retina, and the column, you get this retina underscore detect. Okay, you get this retina view, then go set them to true. So make it a detect if na retina view day, make we set them to true by default. Okay, so once we done like this and we save them, make we open up our browser and see we get the exact same code where we get for the initial one, and make we see what we do for here. So I don't show now. Say as you work with this third-party library, at least you go just need one file where you go add your JavaScript file, which we don't do to configure our JSON file, which is this one for here. So which are this one for here, and this JSON will just connect down to our JavaScript file for here, which now this config file will be passing for here. This will be any object as long as we pass on here, and then after that we just set the ID, or before that we set the ID where they expect, which now this my particle for inside the index of HTML, which now this one for here. Okay, so remember, say we even add with the CDN the ParticleJS to our code. So CDN.js will give us any CDN to any library or most popular CDNs or most popular library for JavaScript. So I hope so you enjoyed this video today. Make una no forget to subscribe if una never subscribe. If una dey like this content and you know say you want to learn this tech thing for pidgin English, and you know say your guy they believe my government, say no be baba government. Make una subscribe, make una like, make una share. But for now, that's all we need to learn. I will see you now for the next video. Thank you.